Mr. Yoon suggested that they should do a team huddle and asked everyone to stretch their hands out together. Although they found it embarrassing, So Yeon proposed that they do it quietly, and Sung immediately agreed, stretching out his hand. Eventually, everyone joined in, reaching out their hands together. Chung Hyun noticed that Ari was wearing a wrist guard and became curious. They formed a huddle, and the Pogok High School team started to worry as their player Jae Deok still hadn't arrived. The map chosen for the match was the Tower of Torment, with each team having its own composition of characters. Dano High had a composition of 2 DPS, 1 support, and 1 healer, while Pogok High had 1 tank, 1 DPS, and 2 healers. The match began, with Kerr from Pogok leaping towards Saigon, but Spiro managed to provide support and counter Kerr's attack. Baronet leaped from above, his determined expression showing his commitment to his role as captain. His eyes scanned the battlefield and he took a deep breath, ready to protect his team at any cost. The fluorescent lights of the arena gleamed overhead, casting sharp shadows that danced across his face. Sung's brow furrowed with worry as he glanced at their opponents, Pogok's team, with their dual healers. He knew that their damage output might not be enough to end the round quickly against such a formidable composition. The weight of responsibility settled on his shoulders like a heavy cloak. Ari, their strategic genius, remembered Chung Hyun's advice from their previous matches. She leaned close to Sung and whispered her instructions, her voice filled with determination. Sung couldn't help but wonder about her plan, but he trusted her instincts and nodded in agreement. Baronet wasted no time and seized the opportunity, launching himself forward to slash at Spiro. The arena floor, a polished surface that gleamed under the harsh lights, echoed with the clash of their weapons. But Bluminance, Spiro's teammate, moved with swift precision, parrying Baronet's attack with a grace that left Sung in awe. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. Has a manhwa ever influenced your life or perspective in a significant way? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now, back to the recap. Spiro, the agile warrior, dashed towards the enemy, his eyes locked on his target. So Yeon, their strategist, leaned in close to Sung and mentioned that they didn't need to go overboard. She observed the enemy team's efforts to prolong the battle, her thoughtful expression revealing her perception of the situation. Ari noticed a plan unfolding before her eyes and ordered Shin to focus on one of the healers. Shin, the confident and skilled member of their team, flashed a determined smile and confidently stated that he could handle both healers by himself. Sung watched in anticipation as their strategy took shape. With the signal given, everyone moved with purpose. Spiro engaged Baronet, his movements fluid and relentless, the sound of their clash echoing through the arena. Baronet, in the heat of the battle, urgently ordered his healers to assist him. Shin, however, intercepted their healing attempts with unexpected frontline engagement as a healer himself. Sung marveled at Shin's skill and the surprise it brought to their foes. Bluminance and Saigon, their DPS duo, capitalized on the advantage, their actions synchronized as they attempted to finish off the remaining enemies. But Kerr, the formidable adversary, tried to halt their progress. Bluminance's strength easily overpowered Kerr, but the enemy healer, Jigra, managed to heal Kerr, setting the stage for a fierce duel between Bluminance and Kerr. Sung, with a thoughtful expression, suggested a new plan to prioritize eliminating the DPS, who were the enemy team's primary damage dealers. Taking them out would give their team a significant advantage in terms of damage output. So Yeon and Ari nodded in agreement, forming a united front and targeting the DPS Kerr. The battle that ensued was intense, explosive strikes and dazzling visual effects lighting up the arena. Kerr fought valiantly against the 2 determined warriors, each clash of their weapons echoing through the stadium. Eventually, through sheer determination and teamwork, they managed to defeat Kerr, immediately shifting their focus to support their healer and eliminate the enemy team's remaining healers. With their combined efforts, they swiftly overpowered the healers, leaving Spiro to face off against Baronet, the formidable tank of Pogok's team. The tension in the arena was palpable as Spiro and Baronet clashed, their strength and skill on full display. The audience held their breath, their eyes locked on the intense showdown. In the end, their teamwork and strategy paid off, and Spiro emerged victorious against Baronet. Cheers erupted from their fans, and the team celebrated their hard-fought first-round victory. The adrenaline coursing through their veins, they exchanged triumphant smiles and pats on the back, their camaraderie evident. Just as they were basking in their victory, Jae Deok finally arrived, panting and apologetic. His teammates scolded him for being late and causing them to lose the first match, frustration clear on their faces. However, Lee, the calm and composed team captain, stepped in to mediate. He instructed Jae Deok to quickly prepare for the next match, his voice steady and reassuring. The enemy team's secret weapon had finally arrived, and they were prepared to give it their all in the upcoming match. The stakes were higher than ever, and their determination burned brighter. Mr. Yoon, their coach, watched from the sidelines, delighted by their first victory. He clapped his hands together, a proud smile on his face. Sung couldn't contain his excitement and a high-fived Jin Yong, knowing that Jin Yong would be playing in the second match, their spirits high as they looked ahead to the next challenge. Chung Hyun attempted to remind his team about their strategy, but Mr. Yoon halted him, his voice carrying the wisdom of experience. He emphasized that while strategies were essential, they wouldn't always dictate victory or defeat. Circumstances on the battlefield could change rapidly, demanding flexibility and quick decision-making from the players. He praised Chung Hyun for his analytical skills, a glimmer of pride in his eyes. Concerned for their well-being, Mr. Yoon checked on Sung, making sure the captain was all right. Sung, showing no signs of motion sickness, received the coach's advice to rest and recover for the upcoming round. Sung's unwavering belief in his friend Jin Yong, who would be taking his place, and in Mr. Yoon's guidance, touched the coach deeply. In the second round, the enemy team stuck with the same characters but made a crucial change in their damage per second (DPS) role by selecting a character named Gester. Sung's team, on the other hand, retained their characters but swapped their DPS for a tank named Aksa. So Yeon assumed the character Spiro, hoping to deceive the enemy team with her impersonation. However, Shin argued that they should go all out to win instead of merely buying time for Sung's return. Soyeon turned her attention to Jin Yong, emphasizing the vital role he would play in this round to motivate him. As the battle commenced, Aksa charged forward to confront Gester, but the nimble enemy vanished in an instant. Aksa believed Gester had reappeared behind him, but it turned out to be a decoy, causing Gester to disappear once again. It was then revealed that Jae-deok was playing as Gester. Soyeon, momentarily distracted, took a hit from the enemy tank, Baronet, sending Spiro flying. Aksa fought valiantly against Gester, swinging his sword rapidly, but he struggled to land a hit. Gester continued his relentless onslaught, just when it seemed dire. Link, their support, managed to heal Aksa just in the nick of time. Bluminance joined the fray, creating a 2-versus-1 situation, but Gester effortlessly handled them both, taunting them as newcomers to the game. Soyeon redirected Jin Yong to distract Gester, while Bluminance went after the enemy healer, Imamis, who retreated towards Baronet for protection. Amidst the chaos, Aksa found himself out of position, creating an opening for Gester to strike. Jin Yong desperately tried to time his parries, but Gester's clever maneuvers proved too much, and Aksa fell in defeat. Gester then unleashed his ultimate move, ending the game swiftly in 8 minutes and 52 seconds in the second round. Frustration and disheartenment washed over Sung's team as they faced their second round loss. Jin Yong, in particular, felt guilty for their quick defeat. However, Sung, showing his leadership, patted Jin Yong's shoulder reassuringly, assuring him that he had done well. Suddenly, a spark of inspiration ignited in Sung's mind. He proposed a new strategy, swapping positions with Ari for the upcoming round. The tension in the air thickened as they prepared for this game-changing shift in their tactics. The enemy team reveled in their hard-earned victory, their cheers echoing through the arena. Jae-deok, burdened by his absence in the first match that had contributed to their defeat, couldn't hide his remorse. He apologized profusely to his teammates, his voice filled with regret. In an unexpected turn of events, it was revealed that Sung's team captain would not be participating in the third round of the game. Despite this setback, Sung made a solemn promise to Ari that he and Jin Yong would secure a victory together. Ari, with unwavering faith in Sung's determination, agreed wholeheartedly and encouraged him to give it his all in the upcoming round. As the third round began, Aksa charged forward without hesitation, heading straight for the enemy team. However, the formidable tank, Baronet, intercepted Aksa, blocking his path with unyielding determination. Meanwhile, from the sidelines, Spiro dashed forward, ready to enter the fray. Baronet and Aksa found themselves locked in a fierce duel, their weapons clashing with resounding force, neither giving an inch. Baronet's player quickly caught on to Sung's strategy of focusing on the enemy backline while the tanks were occupied. He swiftly commanded his teammate, Jae-deok, to launch an attack, their sights set on the main DPS. However, Jae-deok struggled to counter Spiro, a strange sense of familiarity with Spiro's fighting style gnawing at him. Despite realizing that his opponent was stronger, Sung recognized Jae-deok as the esteemed one-sword player ranked 125th, a formidable adversary in his own right. Spiro and Gester managed to create some distance between themselves, and Spiro seized the opportunity to taunt Gester. This tactic played on Jae-deok's emotions, causing him to lose focus momentarily. However, his team captain's stern warning brought him back to his senses, reminding him to remain composed and stick to the plan. In response, Jigdra, the enemy healer, swiftly healed Gester, allowing him to re-engage with Spiro. However, Spiro's agility was on full display as he gracefully dodged all of Gester's attacks and retaliated with a precise counterblow. Sensing Gester's calmness, Spiro realized that his opponent had improved significantly. Gester had a plan to unleash his ultimate move, a powerful combo aimed at taking out Spiro. Spiro, in turn, prepared to counter with his own ultimate skill. In a sudden, unexpected move, Gester dashed to Spiro's side, believing that point-blank range would ensure Spiro couldn't escape his ultimate attack. But Spiro had a surprise up his sleeve. He disappeared and then reappeared, landing his ultimate move, United State of Smash, on Gester, sending him flying. This devastating blow was followed by a final attack from Soyeon, which finished off Gester and secured a victory for Sung's team. The arena erupted with cheers as their victory was confirmed. Sung's team celebrated their hard-fought triumph, their elation palpable. Amidst the jubilation, Sung left his seat and rushed towards Jae-duke, calling him by his old ID name, Blood Moon Hurricane. Jae-duke, somewhat embarrassed by the nickname from his gaming days, couldn't help but crack a smile. After the match, Jin-young was overjoyed by his first win, expressing his triumph loudly outside the cafe. Soyeon couldn't help but be pleased by Jin-young's enthusiasm, though Sung found his exuberant behavior a tad cringeworthy. Meanwhile, Mr. Yoon engaged in a different battle of his own, trying to persuade the school principal to allow the students to use the club room during study hall. The principal questioned him about the students' academic performance, catching Mr. Yoon off guard. He admitted that while Chung-hyun and Soyeon were excelling academically, the others had average grades, a revelation that seemed to displease the principal. The uncertainty of their future hung in the balance as they navigated the challenges both inside and outside the game. Eventually, the principal agreed to their request to use the club room during study hall, but he imposed a condition. If the grades of the two top-performing students, Chung-hyun and Soyeon, dropped in the upcoming final exams, the club activities would be discontinued. The weight of this condition hung over their heads like a dark cloud, adding a layer of pressure to their already challenging gaming journey. Inside the club room, Ari inquired whether Sung and Jin-young had slept well the previous night. Sung hesitated, while Jin-young enthusiastically admitted to staying awake out of sheer excitement over their victory. Sung confessed that he had reviewed the match replay and stayed up late, diligently taking notes on the gameplay. Ari was left momentarily speechless, struggling to comprehend their level of dedication and commitment. Soyeon attempted to console Ari, revealing that she too had a restless night. Ari then shared her own sleepless night story, spent watching her idol, the esports player Lee Jin-ae, compete in a tournament. Their passion for gaming ran deep, and it was a bond that connected them all. Ari's thoughts were disrupted by the loud typing sounds emanating from Chung-hyun's keyboard. She couldn't help but wonder if Chung-hyun had left early after the match, because he was upset that their team hadn't followed his strategy. Chung-hyun's mind, on the other hand, drifted back to a crucial moment when he had noticed Sung pulling Jae-duke aside, revealing their true identities as one-sword players, with Sung ranking first and Jae-duke holding the 125th position. When Ari questioned Chung-hyun about this, he simply responded with his unwavering belief in Sung's ability to win regardless of the circumstances. Ari, although appreciative of his trust in their captain, couldn't help but feel a tinge of annoyance at his casual response. Mr. Yoon entered the club room and conveyed the news that they were permitted to use it during study hall, mentioning the principal's conditions. Chung-hyun took the opportunity to provide an insightful analysis of their last match against Pogok High, highlighting their strong performance and their fortunate avoidance of pro-gamer trainees. He praised Jin-young for his impressive performance, which led Jin-young to daydream about becoming a superstar, striking familiar poses in his mind. Chung-hyun laid out their new strategy, explaining that it would center on Sung when he was on the team and shift to Ari when Jin-young was playing. He emphasized the importance of Jin-young's survival in a match, cautioning him that the entire team would suffer if he went down. Jin-young wholeheartedly agreed, ready to take on the responsibility. Chung-hyun offered to lend Sung a powerful computer for practicing ranked games, and he dropped a surprising bombshell. The famous YouTube players, Gurap and Lee Jin-ae, wanted to meet Sung's team in person. This revelation left both Ari and Sung in a state of shock and disbelief. Sung returned home and opened Chung-hyun's laptop, wondering if it was powerful enough to handle the Sword Rush game. To his amazement, the laptop far surpassed his old, outdated PC. With a touch of nostalgia, Sung bid farewell to his old wooden PC, a loyal companion throughout his gaming journey. Sung then dedicated 2 hours to playing the game in non-competitive mode, honing his mechanics and skills. He effortlessly won all his matches and quickly reached the maximum level, making him eligible to play placement matches, a testament to his dedication and determination to excel in the world of esports. Meanwhile, in her room, Ari couldn't help but reminisce about the surprising announcement that Lee Jin-ae wanted to meet Sung. The news had astounded them all, especially considering that Lee Jin-ae, currently ranked first on the national sword rush team, was a formidable player. Mr. Yoon had been confused by the significance, and Chang-hyun stepped in to clarify. He explained that there used to be a game called One Sword, virtually identical to Sword Rush in every aspect except for the graphics. Lee Jin-ae had been a one-sword player but had only managed to rank second. The undisputed top player in that game had been Sung. This revelation shed light on why Sung was so incredibly skilled at Sword Rush. Ari had suspected something like this but hadn't anticipated that Sung would be ranked higher than Lee Jin-ae. As she pondered Sung's incredible skills, she decided to review the game replays. What she discovered astounded her. Sung's mastery of the game was on another level. She couldn't help but notice her own tactical errors, particularly her tendency to focus on one-on-one battles. Recognizing Sung's consistent efforts to support the team, she felt a sense of embarrassment about her own shortcomings. This realization sparked a newfound determination within her to improve herself as a leader. Sung embarked on his ranked match, filled with the determination to reclaim his place as the top-ranked player. Initially, he faced off against new players and effortlessly defeated them. However, this led to accusations of hacking from those he had defeated. Sung understood the need to familiarize himself with the gameplay to prepare for more challenging battles. Back at home, Chang-hyun appeared to be engaged in a conversation on Discord in front of his computer. It seemed like he was discussing preparations with Gurap for their upcoming meeting with Sung, a meeting that carried great significance. Sung started his next match and quickly realized that even in placement games, the players were skilled enough to establish a solid team composition. Sung consulted his notes to learn more about managing the character Saigon, striving to master the intricacies of the game. In the lobby chat, Sung indicated to his team that he wanted to play as Spiro instead of a tank. His teammates reacted with accusations of trolling the game, displaying the typical toxicity often seen in online games. Sung attempted to convince his team once again, providing evidence of his 90% win rate with Spiro. After some initial resistance, they eventually agreed to let Sung play as Spiro. The game commenced, and Spiro's declaration that he would protect everyone carried a somewhat endearing quality given his childlike size. With determination in his heart, Spiro dashed forward to engage Saigon, skillfully countering Saigon's initial attack as the battle unfolded. In the heat of battle, Saigon held his ground and continued to fight evenly with Spiro. Sung quickly realized that these players were far from inexperienced. Suddenly, Saigon pulled off a surprising move. He vanished, only to reappear right beside Spiro, launching a surprise attack followed by an ultimate skill aimed at finishing Spiro off. It was a daring move, but Spiro managed to counter the ultimate just in time. With swift precision, he executed a combo, repeatedly striking Saigon until the opponent was defeated. Sung couldn't help but be taken aback by Saigon's impressive play. Filled with admiration for his opponent, he wanted to press a hotkey for a respect emote to acknowledge Saigon's skill. However, in a moment of clumsiness, he accidentally pressed the taunt emote instead, momentarily resembling a typical toxic player in the gaming world. The match concluded, and Saigon's player sent a message to Sung, challenging him to a one-on-one battle. Simultaneously, Sung received a message from Jae Daeok, inquiring about a meeting that Chang-hyun wanted to arrange. Meanwhile, Jin Yong was serving a punishment in his classroom, and Sung playfully taunted him with a typical toxic thumbs-up gesture. Their playful banter continued, but it was clear that Jin Yong had some plans of his own, including a desire to punch Sung in the stomach, as indicated on his to-do list for the day. Back in the club room, Chang-hyun asked Sung about how the placement matches had gone. Sung, still riding the wave of adrenaline from his recent victory, requested more time to use Chang-hyun's laptop, and Chang-hyun generously granted him permission. Chang-hyun then delved into the details of their next match, which would be against Boon-hoon High. He explained that the school tournaments had become a pathway to going pro in the world of esports, which had led to a considerable jump in the skill level of high school teams. Boon-hoon High seemed to have emerged from nowhere, but had achieved the highest score in last year's friendly matches. Their strategy was akin to causing mayhem, mirroring Sung's team's approach. They focused on putting their healer on the offensive and baiting opponents into 1-versus-1 battles, rendering their opposition's strategies ineffective. Chang-hyun astutely recognized that if Sung's team stuck with their old plan, they would find themselves in a state of mayhem against Boon-hoon High, making it clear that a new approach was needed to navigate this formidable opponent. Suddenly, a voice broke the room's silence, coming from the direction of the club room's door. All eyes turned to see the newcomer. It was Gurap, who introduced himself as a streamer. However, his abrupt entrance and insistence on starting to film the club members caught Chang-hyun off guard, and he questioned Gurap's intentions. Gurap explained that he had come to meet the player behind Spear PW God, Sung. He shook Sung's hand, complimenting his impressive gameplay while slyly questioning if Sung was truly as good as his reputation suggested. Chang-hyun mentioned that Gurap had made substantial donations to the school, which justified his presence there. Gurap then summoned his team to deliver high-spec computers to every member of the club. He requested their cooperation in making a grand debut on his YouTube channel, leaving everyone in the club astonished by the quality of the PCs and wondering about Gurap's true motives. He even suggested live streaming Sung's placement matches, as Sung hadn't completed them yet. Gurap brainstormed a clickbait video title and thumbnail, hoping to turn Sung into a YouTube celebrity. Despite his enthusiasm, he received no immediate response from the club members. Gurap abruptly received a notification and had to leave for his next gig, bidding everyone farewell. Sung, however, didn't seem to appreciate Gurap's talkative persona, preferring to focus on the upcoming inter-school tournament and compete as a team rather than as an individual. Jin Yong, on the other hand, thought it wouldn't hurt to feature Sung's placement matches on Gurap's channel. He teased Sung about being useless at anything besides Sword Rush, which didn't sit well with Sung. Ultimately, the team left the decision to Sung. Next, Chang-hyun asked the team to wrap things up as he needed to continue explaining about Boon-hoon High, their upcoming opponents. He retrieved a whiteboard to elaborate on their strategy, pointing out that Shin sometimes charged in as a healer due to his anger management issues, which did slightly irritate Shin. Chang-hyun highlighted the benefit of having the healer at the front line, as it could lure the opposition into 1v1 battles. When the enemy team moved forward to assist their teammate, Boon-hoon High would cut them off. Surprisingly, they always made sure not to move beyond their healer's effective range. Chang-hyun also mentioned that it's common to observe a skill gap between key players and their teammates, especially when key players are not playing their preferred role. He subtly hinted to Soyeon that she might struggle if she had to play any other role effectively. Boon-hoon High's strategy was essentially designed to break the typical tank, DPS, healer composition meta. Chang-hyun handed Sung a bottle of medicine, inquiring about his motion sickness. Sung explained that he could play 2 matches back-to-back, but struggled if he reached the late game in round 2. Chang-hyun suggested that Sung should rest during every second round to manage his condition effectively. Chang-hyun inquired about Ari's wrist, and she admitted that it had been tingling occasionally. Suddenly, the club room's door creaked open, and a female voice commented that it seemed a bit too early for wrist problems. Everyone turned to see the unexpected guest, and Ari appeared shocked by the presence of this beautiful Nuna who had just walked in. The stunning Nuna introduced herself as Lee Jin-ae from Team S91. Jin Yong was taken aback by the day's unfolding events, but Ari was clearly starstruck. Lee got straight to the point and asked to meet the player known as Spiro God. Without hesitation, Jin Yong seized Sung and presented him to her. Sung and Lee locked eyes, finally meeting their gaming friend in real life. Lee was touched to see Sung, who began to mention her one-sword ID name, Sex Broken Heart Slayer X. Feeling somewhat embarrassed, Lee playfully stopped him mid-sentence by covering his mouth with her hand. After their initial interaction, Lee invited Sung to join her team, S91, hinting at significant changes in the Pro League. Intrigued, Sung asked for more details about these changes. Lee explained their plan to implement a solo league in Sword Rush and brought Sung to their training facility. On the way, they encountered another esports player trying to enter the elevator. This player bore a striking resemblance to Imaked Pai and wondered if Sung was Spiro. Sung politely confirmed his identity, and Lee, feigning busyness, seized Sung and held him close, causing a slight blush to creep onto his cheeks. In an office room within the training facility, Lee delved into discussions about the upcoming tournament and the growing popularity of Sword Rush. She mentioned that after the school tournament ended, the developers of Sword Rush had plans to promote strong players from the school tournament in the pro leagues to boost their popularity. Lee explained that debuting individual pro gamers through team matches was challenging because they were bound to their respective teams. Regarding solo play, she indicated that the undefeated Spiro, who stood right in front of her, was a perfect candidate. Lee suggested a 1-versus-1 match with Sung, and he agreed enthusiastically. She was excited to witness Sung's old skills in action as they prepared to enter a map featuring a floating island with cold weather. Lee's character, Blift, unleashed her laser sword and gracefully leaped toward Spiro. Sung's mind raced as he recalled his meticulously taken notes about Blift's skills, realizing that they perfectly aligned with Lee's playstyle. Blift was agile and swift, prompting Sung to attempt to stay just outside of her attack range. Recognizing Sung's strategy, Lee playfully accused him of being rusty and initiated her assault on Spiro. Spiro and Blift clashed with incredible speed and precision, Sung was impressed by Lee's improvement since their last encounter, but she acknowledged that Sung's reflexes and composure remained as sharp as ever. Blift leapt upward, launching a flurry of rapid slices towards Spiro. Spiro skillfully parried each attack, showcasing his mastery of the game. As Spiro maneuvered behind Blift, she unleashed her waterfall skill, slicing toward him. Spiro countered, creating distance between them. During their intense battle, Lee decided to use her ultimate skill. In response, Spiro unleashed his ultimate, a super counter move that could reflect all attacks, including ultimate ones, back at the opponent. However, Sung was taken aback when Blift's attack animation suddenly stopped. Spiro activated his ultimate, but there was nothing to reflect back. Sung was puzzled, swearing that she had initiated an ultimate. Suddenly, Blift resumed her ultimate attack, clarifying that in Sword Rush, ultimate skills could be cancelled. She executed her ultimate, a rapid rush skill that nullified the opponent's defenses, and with a swift slash, Blift defeated Spiro. Even though Sung had been defeated by Lee, he was content because he had genuinely enjoyed the match. It felt just like the old days of playing one sword. Lee found it hard to believe that Sung had only been playing Sword Rush for a month. Further convinced of his extraordinary skills, Lee extended an invitation for Sung to join her team, and he accepted with a handshake, expressing how much he had missed her. Lee, too, admitted that she had missed Sung and warmly embraced him, leaving him to wonder if she might be waifu material. In the S91 meeting room, Lee acknowledged that Gurap had offered Sung the opportunity to stream his placement match on Gurap's channel. She wondered if Sung had disclosed his previous rank as first in one sword to Gurap. Sung explained that he hadn't had a chance to discuss it with Gurap. Lee thought it would be a good idea to generate some attention before Sung's debut in the solo league. She suggested that Sung should accept Gurap's offer, but on the condition that his identity and face not be revealed. In other words, he shouldn't play as Spiro in the placement match. Instead, Lee wanted Sung to make his grand debut as Spiro in the solo league, keeping his true identity a secret for now. After Lee dropped Sung off at the cafe, Sung expressed his gratitude for the ride, and Lee emphasized the importance of keeping his phone with him at all times. Jae-deok, who happened to be inside the cafe, observed them together and jumped to the conclusion that Sung was involved in a secret romantic relationship with Lee. He immediately confronted Sung, demanding an explanation. Sung quickly clarified that he had agreed to join Lee's team, which was the real reason for their meeting. Jae-deok's jealousy led him to imagine a future where Sung and Lee were romantically involved, sharing meals, affectionate nicknames, and more. Sung attempted to redirect the conversation back to the primary purpose of their meeting, Jong-hyun's desire to see Jae-deok and Sung's upcoming scrim. Jae-deok mentioned that one of his friends, Seong-min, attended Bonghoon High. Jong-hyun had shown an interest in gathering information about him. Both Sung and Jae-deok were surprised at how much Jong-hyun seemed to know about Seong-min. While Jae-deok didn't mind sharing information, he began to suspect that Jong-hyun had already gathered a significant amount of knowledge. Sung changed the topic and inquired about Seong-min's skill level, expressing his excitement at the prospect of facing him. Jae-deok confirmed that Seong-min was a formidable player, describing his fighting style as similar to a tanky healer. Slowly, they realized that there was a player with a similar style in one sword, who went by the name Pink_Undies. In the S91 director's room, Lee had a discussion with the director about Sung's gaming skills. She acknowledged that Sung needed some refinement, but assured the director that his reflexes remained sharp. She emphasized her support for Sung's development, and reassured the director that they had her backing. Back in the club room, everyone was deeply engrossed in their games, but Soyeon raised the question of whether they should practice with Sung. Ari dismissed their concerns and began recounting the day when the famous pro gamer Lee Jin-ae had been searching for Sung. Ari decided to delve into Sung's history as a player in one sword, discovering various community posts about Spiro, Sung's gaming alias. These posts revealed the significant impact Spiro had on one sword, both positively and negatively, with praise and criticism mixed in the comment sections. Ari was surprised to learn that Sung, a grade school student at the time, had once dominated the pro gaming scene. As she continued reading, she found that developers had even created in-game heroes based on Sung's strategies, solidifying his reputation as an exceptional player. Sung eventually entered the club room, and Mr. Yoon informed him that they were currently engaged in a duo queue practice match. Mr. Yoon proceeded to explain a new strategy developed by Chung-hyun, using a whiteboard to outline the details for Sung. Once Sung had a grasp of the strategy explained by Mr. Yoon, they inquired about Sung's recent workplace tour with Lee. Sung revealed that he had agreed to join Team S91, which left everyone in the club room in shock. He elaborated that Team S91 had promised to assist his club team, by allowing them to train with S91's trainees, and he had also accepted Gurap's request. The club members were overwhelmed by this sudden turn of events, and Mr. Yoon congratulated Sung on his achievement. Chang Hyun suggested that if the club team won the school tournament, it could potentially lead them closer to debuting as pro players, although it wouldn't be an easy task. Ari was curious about what Chang Hyun meant, and he explained that if what Sung mentioned about other trainees in the tournament was true, winning such a competition could open doors for them in the professional gaming scene. Before we continue, let's take a moment to shout out at Justin Yeel, Op 763, who commented, "Nice more parts please," on our boy Revive video. Thanks for commenting. Later, when Sung arrived at Gurap's apartment, he felt nervous about the upcoming placement matches. Gurap welcomed Sung and expressed surprise that Sung hadn't mentioned his decision to join Team S91. Nonetheless, Gurap assured Sung that he would respect his conditions, which included wearing a mask. Back at the club room, Jingyong, Shin, and Ari eagerly awaited Gurap's livestream to watch Sung's placement matches. When they received a notification that the stream had started, they all tuned in. Gurap, serving as the commentator, announced that Sung had completed his first placement match and was heading into the remaining 9 matches. Sung chose to play as a character named Aksa for these matches. During the game, Aksa charged toward the enemy team and used his skills effectively, securing a victory in the 9th placement match. Gurap praised Sung's exceptional performance, though Sung found him a bit talkative and decided to take a short break before the next match. After a 10-minute wait, Sung was matched against top-ranked players, which was a surprise. Gurap explained that the lengthy matchmaking time was due to the caliber of the opponents. In a surprising turn of events, one of the players in the chat challenged Sung to a one-on-one match, adding excitement to the live stream. The match began with Aksa facing off against the opponent in a one-on-one duel. They both demonstrated impressive skills, but Sung's Aksa eventually emerged victorious. Gurap celebrated Sung's win and declared that Sung had earned all the MVP awards in the matches, even dancing around with him for dramatic effect. The result of the placement matches was that Sung progressed to the ranking matches, a surprising outcome for both of them. Back at school, many students recognized Sung from Gurap's channel, despite him wearing a mask to conceal his identity. Some students wondered if Sung would pursue a career as a YouTuber, but Sung quickly dismissed the idea, recalling the awkward incident where Gurap had grabbed him and danced. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.